My Little Pony is one of the most famous children's cartoons of all time. But did you know that this cute and sweet show isn't always as innocent as it seems? For example, the murder of Princess Amore. Thousands of years ago, King Sombra ruled the Crystal Empire but was banished to a frozen region in the north. The origin of this character is revealed in the comics, where King Sombra is found as a young foal in a snowstorm with some kind of amnesia, and he only knew how to say one word: shadow. After that, he was sent to an orphanage where the Crystal Ponies didn't talk to him because he was different. Sounds a lot like the story of the Ugly Duckling, doesn't it? The only ponies who spoke to him were Radiant Hope, a female pony who became his friend, and Princess Amore, the first ruler of the Crystal Empire. Hope introduced him to the Crystal Heart, an artifact that reveals your destiny. Hope saw in the Crystal Heart that she would become a princess, while Sombra saw that he would become a villain, making it clear that even as a child, he knew his dark future. During the days of the Crystal Fair, a festival where ponies revered the Crystal Heart, Sombra felt extremely ill until one day he became so weak that Radiant Hope had to use a spell to keep him alive. That was the day Sombra fled into the snowstorm, where he encountered a dark crystal that turned out to be his mother, who revealed that he was a shadow pony. Once he embraced his destiny, King Sombra returned to the Crystal Empire and cruelly murdered Princess Amore. She tried to bring him to the side of good, but Sombra used his horn's power to petrify and shatter Princess Amore into pieces. See? Super kid-friendly. So, I hope you realize today's going to be the day your childhood gets ruined, right? Especially if you're a My Little Pony fan. Stay tuned to discover 12 shocking facts about My Little Pony that will ruin your childhood. And don't forget to tell me what your cutie mark would be. You're watching another episode of Cinewave. Trixie, a blue pony, has a friend named Starlight. In this episode, they are planning to perform a very dangerous magic trick, which involves jumping into the mouth of a monster. During the episode, they have a falling out and stop talking to each other, but Trixie decides to go ahead with the trick alone. Pretty brave, right? Before the performance, she hopes to be saved by her friend, which leaves her with two options: being saved or dying. This is pretty chilling because it's almost like a suicide attempt. Of course, the message of the episode isn't about this. It wasn't intended to address this topic, but that's what came across in the episode. As cute as the show appears now, it wasn't always like that. Following the trend of 80s animations, the early My Little Pony universe wouldn't be seen as suitable for children today. For instance, the villains had characteristics that could be considered demonic. This might be why the show chose to change its graphic style to better align with what parents expected from children's programming. For example, the villain Tyrek initially looked very frightening, but was later given a more friendly appearance. Another interesting fact about the villain is that he follows a similar demonic villain style akin to characters like Venger from Dungeons & Dragons and Trigon from DC Comics. Even though the show's visual style became more child-friendly, it kept some dark elements in the story. For example, there are many plots that might go unnoticed by children, but an adult watching would find many complex themes. One instance is in Season 2, Episode 16 of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, when Rainbow Dash breaks into a hospital to find a book, but ends up in the room of a pony with a shaved mane who is ill. The scene is written innocently, but in the next episode, during a song, we see a funeral scene. Though it's not confirmed, the show leaves room for theories, and many fans believe the ill pony had a serious illness and eventually died. If you're a My Little Pony fan, drop a comment with the hashtag Pony.
You don't love me!
In one of the most talked about episodes of My Little Pony, Starlight Glimmer becomes a dictator, serving as a reference to authoritarian regimes. In this episode, Twilight Sparkle and her friends are called to investigate a village where all the ponies seem to live in perfect harmony, but soon discover that this harmony is maintained by force. Starlight Glimmer is the leader of the village and has an ideology that seeks to eliminate individual differences and the cutie marks of the ponies, believing that this creates equality and peace. She uses a magical artifact to steal the cutie marks, which results in all the ponies in the village looking the same and having their personalities homogenized. This episode marks the beginning of Starlight Glimmer's arc as a villain in the series and sets off a series of episodes that explore her motivations and character development throughout the season. One of the most bizarre aspects of this universe is that ponies have animals as livestock. In Equestria, ponies dominate the world, but they are not the only species. You can also find cows, dogs, fish, and many other mammals. However, it's strange that ponies have a hierarchy that keeps animals confined where they are used as livestock and food sources. Yes, ponies have a mostly vegetarian diet, but they consume dairy products and eggs. This wouldn't be a problem if the other animals didn't also talk like ponies. This dynamic suggests that all the animals are intelligent, but the ponies keep them confined and use some to feed others. In an episode from the 7th season of My Little Pony, we learn about an incurable disease called swamp fever. In the episode, Fluttershy and Zecora are in the swamp gathering moss when Zecora is infected by a highly contagious plant. At the hospital, the doctor informs them that she has contracted swamp fever and that there is no cure, besides transforming the victim into the very plant that spreads the disease. Throughout the episode, Fluttershy discovers how to save others because many years ago, a healer found the cure but then disappeared. If you watch the episode with a more critical eye, you'll notice that from the time of this healer until the present-day hospital doctor, no one has managed to cure swamp fever. In other words, all the flowers in the swamp that spread the disease might actually be the victims of the fever who couldn't save themselves.
And my day is ruined.
Speaking of not escaping, there's a version of Tartarus from Greek mythology in My Little Pony. It's a prison guarded by a three-headed dog where irredeemable villains are kept in cages to stay there forever. It's chilling to think that a children's show would have such a place in its universe, but that's what they say. If you don't learn by love, you'll learn by pain. And you really don't want to mess with colorful ponies. Or do you? If this surprised you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, or we might send you a My Little Pony cupcake specially made with worms just for you. In My Little Pony lore, the kingdom of Equestria was ruled by two sisters, Celestia and Luna, where each was responsible for the sun and the moon. During the day, Celestia brought the sun, and all the ponies lived their lives and had fun. While at night, Luna brought the moon, and the ponies slept. Ponies did nothing during Princess Luna's time, which made her sad and angry, eventually transforming Luna into the villain Nightmare Moon. In a battle, the two sisters clash because Luna placed the moon in front of the sun, bringing about eternal night. There's a similar narrative in Game of Thrones. I bet George R.R. Martin watches My Little Pony. Do ya? The duel between the sisters was won by Celestia, who imprisoned her sisters on the moon for thousands of years while Luna remained trapped. Even though Luna became a villain, this story could be interpreted differently. Celestia, knowing her sister's sadness, did nothing to help and allowed her sister to fall to the dark side, and on top of that, imprisoned her forever on the moon to rule alone. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but if the issue was that ponies weren't enjoying the night, they could have created night parties to solve the problem. My Little Pony was created by Hasbro with a line of toys featuring ponies, where the toys included girls riding their ponies, with the help of reins and bridles. This makes sense in the context of toys, but in the show, the idea of putting a muzzle on intelligent speaking ponies is somewhat questionable. If they have feelings and communicate like people, then they are essentially people, but using bridles sends a very wrong message. In Equestria, things might be colorful, but there is still a strong segregation. In the capital of the kingdom, Canterlot, the elite live in luxury and wealth, while the rest of the workers come from less privileged places like Ponyville. One episode that highlights this is Season 2, Episode 9, where the character Rarity feels ashamed to admit she comes from Ponyville to avoid bullying.
You're from Ponyville?
Brony is a combination of the word bro, a casual term for a man, and pony. Bronies are devoted followers of this franchise, and they are so passionate about the show that they even created an annual event to celebrate their love for My Little Pony called BronyCon, a convention held every year in Seattle since 2012. This fact isn't meant to make any jokes, but to show the strength that this children's franchise has gained over the years. Whenever asked why they love My Little Pony, adult fans often say it's because it's colorful and magical, and of course, because there are ponies that fly. And is there anything more magical than a colorful flying horse? Pretty spooky for a children's show, don't you think? But what about you? Do you like My Little Pony? Do you consider yourself a brony? Comment below with your favorite pony. We've included 2 more videos for you to choose from and watch. See you in the next video!